Welcome back, everybody, to AFL Timeline History, and we have moved on to Season 5 of Madden 12. Stokes, it's your second AFL season. In your debut, you slayed the dragon that is Han, and you went on to win your first ever AFL Super Bowl over Hadley, retiring Hadley for Madden 12. And now we're in to Season 5, which is our Super Bowl 8, and it sets up our first ever Stokes Ridge Super Bowl. But before we get to that point, the reason why you came to AFL in the first place was the original Dragon, Han. We needed somebody to stop him. He had won the first 3 Super Bowls of Madden 12. He looked like he was an unstoppable force. You come in Season 4, end his season in the second round of the playoffs, go on to win the Super Bowl. And now in wild card matchup on Season 5, here we have Han's Raiders against your Chiefs again, and you get the best of him again, ending his season. Stokes, I imagine at this point you had to feel pretty satisfied.
Absolutely. When he recruited me, he wanted somebody to compete with him, and that's why he brought me in to AFL, and it felt great to be able to knock him out of the playoffs both the years. It's great to see the rival that you have, so to speak, not win, but it's even better when you're able to be the one to take him out, and that's what I was able to do.
And then Stokes, you went on to beat Westside Charles Jacksonville Jaguars and my New England Patriots to get to your second Super Bowl in a row. Magic at this point in time, as Stokes came in and slayed the dragon that was Han, and we all needed him to do that because Han was running roughshod over the rest of AFL, it started to become a situation where Stokes became the dragon, and we needed somebody to stand up to him because you don't want one guy to just dominate a league. And there was Ridge, our king from Madden 11. Hadn't made it to the Super Bowl yet in Madden 12, but I think most of AFL at this point, especially since we didn't know Stokes, was rooting for Ridge to at least bring some sort of parity back to AFL.
Ridge became our White Knight there to slay our new Black Dragon.
That's a good way to put it.
It was boring having Han win, 3 in a row. He went back to back, and
that's usually what 3 in a row is, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stokes. You want to?
You said it.
You want to point out that Australia's out there again?
Little inside joke humor for the rest of you.
So it was getting boring seeing that Han was winning all the rings, and then Stokes comes in the first season. He comes in, he wins one, and then he gets to the second one, and it's like, oh man, is this going to become a thing? Is this Han tree going to spoil our league with its terrible seeds of people? And Ridge became the people's champ.
So we needed Ridge to find a way to beat Stokes, set up the dream matchup. Ridge-Stokes won. Stokes, you didn't know much about Ridge at this point, though, did you?
No, I didn't. The only thing I didn't know is I usually look at my opponent's stats prior to me playing them, and I knew he ran the ball more than he passed, and I knew he had Adrian Peterson, so I had to make sure I focused on that factor and just trying to shut down, or slow down rather, Adrian Peterson.
So Ridge's Niners take on your Chiefs. Ridge had the late lead up by a touchdown, 7 points. Stokes drives down, gets the touchdown, but instead of going for the extra point to tie it up and send it to overtime, Stokes elects to go for 2, and this game was streamed because Stokes was kind enough to stream it back in the day. And Stokes, you went for 2. It didn't work out, but I'm guessing that was a decision you don't regret.
No, not at all. I will always, as long as I'm playing Madden, in that situation, if I can end the game by getting 2 yards, then I'm going to try and do that. And that's always the mentality I take in every single game that I play, playoffs or not. And, this is the biggest stage of a league, and I just figure that if they can stop me for 2 yards, then they deserve to win. And I'd rather not just leave it. I'd rather not leave it in the playoffs hands where, you can get a fluke play here, tip ball or random fumble, and I'd rather just put the game in the hands of this 2-point conversion.
Or just lose the coin toss. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Overtime really is a 50-50 proposition just to see who's going to get the first chance to score. So let's take a look at the rest of the playoff field. And Magic, you can really tell the talent in AFL had really expanded at this point. My Patriots win the East, Cody's Ravens win the North, Westside Charles's Jaguars win the South, Stokes wins the West with his Chiefs, Swag's Giants win the East, Scott's Bears win the North, Dom's Panthers win the South, and then Ridge's Niners win the West. Two notable wildcard teams, we had Cheesen's Redskins and Hans Raiders. Berto and Uga Bulldog run out the rest of the playoff field. And guys like West and Swag at this point were really good at Madden. They've fallen off since, but these guys really had, at this point in time, were Super Bowl contenders. So this was the deepest field we had to date, Magic.
Yeah, and there's some formerly powerful. What do you think changed? Because, I mean, some of those people, have fallen off. And you got a ring back when we started, and you got your next ring, just this year.
Did I? Oh, okay.
I mean, I've heard it through the grapevine. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even for you, you've been a top dog for, Madden year in and year out, but, you hadn't won a bowl in a while. So, I mean, like, do you think it's just time? Like, what do you think changed for some of these people who have fallen off?
I don't know if it's always a black and white situation. I think it could be a situation where guys grow up. Guys go from college. You were in college at this point, correct?
Yeah, that was a good time for me.
When you got the college hours, sometimes you can stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning because you don't have class until 11 a.m. and play Madden all night. Some of these guys went from being single to being married with kids. In the situation with West and Swag in particular, I know Swag used to work from home, and that probably assisted him in playing Madden more frequently, and now he's working more in the regular hours, not at home, so that probably doesn't help. And West also is in career mode at this point, so, that happens. Life happens. So we all grow up, and, it's not the worst thing in the world to lose ability at a video game, even though we all enjoy it. And I do think some of these guys tailed off on the move to Next Gen, too, so that could be something else, too. With Next Gen, it became a lot more than just, it felt like you had to play Madden a little bit differently, I think anyway. Maybe I'm just making it up in my head. But speaking of the playoff field, one matchup I want to bring up that happened in the second round in the NFC was Swag's Giants defeating Scott's Bears, because that led to an all-out fest in AFL chat when Swag got the sack on 4th down to end Scott's season. And Magic, fests like that in chat just remind me of Zat chat nostalgia, because those were the days when we had 10, 15 guys in chat at all times, and it really was the prime period of AFL.
Oh, definitely. The chat would be full from, 5 o'clock and people start getting off work until, 3 a.m. And if I happen to have class, I would just pull it up on my phone. And, now we don't have that. I mean, now we have archives of all of our fests instead of memories. But, you don't get the faces anymore, which I think helped add to it.
The trolling faces.
Oh, God, they were so good.
Well, Ridge gets
his...
his...
good time, man. I miss AFL.
Well, I mean, AFL's still here, but the chat is long gone. Ridge gets his first Super Bowl win of Madden 12, his 3rd overall. Stokes experiences his first adversity since coming over to AFL, winning a Super Bowl Season 1, then falling 2 yards short in Season 2. But this is not the last we're going to hear of the Ridge-Stokes rivalry. It dominated Madden 13, but we have one more instance of Ridge going head-to-head with Stokes in a big spot coming up, and we're going to talk about that in our next video as we continue the AFL Madden timeline history.